Tool support for performance and monitoring. The tools described in this section support testing that can be carried out on a system when it is operational, meaning while it's running. First, dynamic analysis tools. We have mentioned before static testing tools, and they are tools that can find defects in a software while it is not running. And now we will talk about dynamic testing tools. So from its title, what do you think it do? Correct. Dynamic analysis tools are tools that can find defects in a software while it is running. They are more into analysis than testing because they analyze what is happening while the software is running by trying to measure a lot of stuff to judge whether the software is working correctly or not. Features or characteristics of dynamic analysis tools include support for detecting memory leaks. Do we use more memory of the system than we should or not? If we are eating the memory, then we have what is called memory leak. Identifying memory pointer errors such as null pointers, which means did we use the memory correctly or not. And last, identifying time dependencies. These tools would typically be used by developers in component testing and component integration testing. For example, when testing middleware, when testing security, or when looking for robustness defects. Now imagine if we are testing a website and we want to make sure that each hyperlink is working correctly. Do you think we should use a static tool or a dynamic tool? Correct. A dynamic tool would be used to check dynamically that each hyperlink is actually pointing to a valid website location. Performance testing, load testing, and stress testing tools. Performance testing tools are concerned with measuring the system performance to see whether or not the system will stand up at different circumstances. A performance test is concerned more with response time, so we measure the response time of a specific activity. Usually those activities vary if the system is handling more than one user at a time. So performance testing is usually concerned with measuring the response time of an activity while handling multiple users at a time. Under the umbrella of performance testing, there are different kinds of testing. A load test checks that the system can cope with its expected number of transactions. So for example, we test the add employee functionality repeatedly number of times. A volume test checks that the system can cope with a large amount of data. So for example, we test a single add record transaction with a large amount of data in the record fields. A stress test is one that goes beyond the normal expected usage of the system to see what would happen outside its design expectations. So we can test adding records using huge data volume many times by different users under low memory configuration and slow internet. In order to assess performance, we would need to simulate what would 100 users do when using the system. Would they log into the system at the same time? Or 1 by 1 or 10 by 10? What would every user do after logging into the system? Would they do exactly the same thing and display the same page? Or we would have 10 users on page 1 and another 10 users on page 2 and so on. Such kind of simulation would need some sort of scripting to program how the system would behave. Again, testers who would like to do performance testing would need to know some sort of a scripting language and programming skills to write those kinds of scripts. Finally, monitoring tools. Think of monitoring tools as a task manager under the Windows operating system. It can show you measures and statistics about your software. How does your software use the CPU, memory, network, and other system resources? I always recommend testers to keep the task manager open and visible all the time while testing. Monitoring tools continuously keep track of the status of the system in use in order to have the earliest warning of problems and to improve service. There are monitoring tools for servers, networks, databases, security, website and internet usage and applications. Thank you.